Folks, we're back. This is Steve Sanson, Michael McDonald of Veterans in Politics. Today we have Ron Quince, Congressional Candidate for District Number 1. And just to let everybody know that this program was brought to you by Ron Quince for Congressional District Number 1 and Stephanie Phillips for United States Senate. Mike, do you have any rants?
I have a rant about how hot it's been about the Maui burning down. So recently, I love Maui. Maui is one of my favorite places on earth.
Too expensive.
Yeah, but that's one of the reasons I think they let it burn.
You got to go to Jamaica.
Yeah.
Cheaper.
Oh, it's so beautiful there.
And closer.
Yeah.
Isn't it closer?
What, Maui? Or,
Jamaica, is it close?
Yeah, well, if you're by Florida, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But if you're on the other side, no.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful out there, and who knows what's going to happen now. I kept seeing memes online about, leave the realtors, leave the people alone in Maui. I try to buy their properties because it's not a good time right now. So people trying to profiteer. And that's one thing I think hopefully Ron can talk about too, is the politicians profiteering off of some of these back-end deals. So who knows, what's going on behind the scenes and in the swamp. So hopefully get some good people and clean the swamp out.
Clean the swamp.
Thank you for coming today, Ron.
Well, thank you, Michael. Or Mike, do you go by Mike or Michael?
Yeah.
Because some people, when they call, Michael, they want to be Michael. They don't want to be Mike.
He's not anal. He'll go with Mike.
Michael is fine. Yeah.
Some people are a little anal.
Oh, you got to be respectful of people's name, right?
Well, I had like
That's
5
true.
Mikes working at one of the jobs I was at before, and we all had to go by last name.
It's like Ronald. Which one would you take, Ron or Ronald?
Either or,
See?
Either
or. See that?
Which one the ones you're going to vote for?
Whichever one is quicker to say.
Okay.
Ron.
It's right there, Ron, the shortened version.
Ron Quince, Ron Q.
Yeah, Ron's quick to say. Ronald, I got to think about that. So, Mr. Quince, could you tell us, thank you for coming on the program.
Well, thanks for having me.
Tell us about yourself.
Well, been a resident for here in Las Vegas for the last 20 plus years.
Okay.
I own an accounting firm, own a couple of businesses, became successful here. And then a few years ago, I decided to semi-retire and start giving out to the communities. I did a lot of philanthropists, donating food at Impact Center, donating toys to the kids that need it on Christmas, of course, the veterans. And right now, it's just practically, I don't like what's going on in the country. So now I want to put my name in the ballot and see if we can make some changes.
Okay. So what type of changes are you looking at?
Well, a lot of things, First of all, the economy right now, it's awful. I don't care what this administration is saying, by Bidenomics, whatever they called it now. But Michael was just telling me a few minutes ago that he's trying to get gas, and the gas is like super expensive.
Yeah. Going up again.
It's like what, up 30% at this point.
I think it was like 449 or something like that. I couldn't believe it.
And you know what? I always look at it when you go to a grocery store. Back in the days when you have $100, you can have multiple items. Some $100 actually the new $20 bill.
That's true.
That's one of the things. Of course, immigration reform. We saw a lot of migrants coming in this country, and it's not even that they're coming in this country, but we becoming like inhumane because these people are actually living in the streets. Right. City of New York City, San Diego, a lot of people are actually living in sidewalks. Okay, so now we're actually even worse than ever. So kind of like, as a country, we're supposed to be a land of opportunity, but when they come in here, they had a house wherever South America they came from. When they came here, they become homeless and living in the streets.
Oh, Ron, they actually incarcerate them now. Before they would deport them, now they're actually throwing them in jail and charging them with federal charges. And then the federal government will send the states money to incarcerate them. And they were buying out old Walmarts and converting them into jails to separate their children at the border. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, and it's crazy. And of course, last but not the least, it's like education reform and parental rights.
Yeah.
For some reason, like as a country, the parents actually has no say whatsoever. School districts, school systems actually taking taking control of your children. And the reason I'm saying that is because, of course, we're parents, right? I have two young daughters, and one is 4 and one's 3, and nobody will take my daughters away for anything. And I'm pretty sure you guys, feel the same way, And nobody's gonna make a decision for my daughters because you know what? I'm the parent. I'm supposed to make a decision what's best for my children. And what's the problem right now is, of course, the federal government is kind of like they taking your child away from you. Why? Because they want to control your children. They want to control their minds. So that's why in the future election, it's more like a socialist kind of society that we're living in right now.
We should have God-given and unalienable rights to our children and protected through the 14th Amendment for life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. But our government is taking that role of trying to be the parents for everybody now.
And that's a problem, which is, of course, Steve, you're a veteran. You fought for this country. You even part of this country when we beat Soviet Union, but we're kind of recycled back all over again.
Yeah.
And I know you've been in the military for so long. You've served with Ronald Reagan back in the days. Panama and all that stuff. And of course,
I love Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, Bush Sr. and Bush Jr. And you actually fought for this country to make sure that we don't live in the society what we're living now.
And when I was in the Army, I was under Clinton, believe it or not.
So, and the problem is the things that I'm seeing right now is this is not the country that I grew up with.
No.
I wasn't born here. I'm actually an immigrant. Came here 40 plus years ago. And the way I look at it is I don't want my girls who's actually born here, first generation American citizen, but they're not going to live as an American because the country's changing.
Yes.
Ron, why don't you tell us about your background and tell the voters where you come from and what?
Well, yeah,
your background.
I was immigrated here 40 years ago. Came here when I was 5.
From where?
From the Philippines.
What city?
Manila. I was born in Manila.
I love Manila.
Yeah, that's where Pacquiao is from.
I went to the
right?
presidential palace in Manila.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I did.
We came here because my parents decided that I can get a better education here in the United States. At that time, of course, I have to stay with my grandparents because my parents are actually, they have some things that they need to do in the Philippines. They're in, I would probably say, a political situation there. So I stay with my grandparents. My grandfather is actually a World War II veteran, fought side by side with the Americans during World War II against the Japanese in the Philippines. Gave him, of course, and us an opportunity to come here in the United States. So I grew up here, grew up in LA, educated in Arizona, and of course, when I was working in an accounting firm, they decided to transfer me here in Nevada. At that time, they're not ready to have a minority vice president, so I decided to quit and open my own firm, and 20 plus years later, this is where I'm at.
ASU?
I went. I did some studies at Arizona State. Right now, I'm actually pursuing my master's degree in UNLV. I'm getting my emergency and crisis management because I believe that in order for you to be an effective leader, you need to have the tools, to help you rather than we having those people in Congress has been sitting there for the last 40 years and not doing anything. You got to make some decision because the country is changing, and it is different America than it was 40 years ago.
Yeah.
So what motivated you to run for Congress?
Well, first of all, I live in District 1, and I've seen how the way the demographic of our district is 48% Hispanic, 13% Asian, and I speak fluent Spanish, Steve, and
Tagalog.
And Tagalog. Not some other people that they only speak. They claim they speak kitchen Spanish. I don't know what that means. But I speak
when
Spanish.
You're in the kitchen making a burrito, you speak Spanish.
I speak fluent Spanish. I can read and write. Actually, it's actually ranked as my third language because of Tagalog being my first and English being my second.
Right.
Of course, and my wife's also Latina, and my kids are actually half Hispanic, just like yours. Right. And of course, we visit our families in Mexico, and of course, we have some families here in Nevada. And you've been to all my we call it mariachi parties, right?
Love them.
So you have some quinceañeras for your...
Well, not yet. They're still young. I mean, eventually, we're gonna have quinceañeras. Yeah. So, and the way I want to represent them, because you know what? At the end of the day, I want them to see a person that I can actually relate to. Dina Tides has been in the office for so long.
So where's District 1? That's all.
Well, we're looking at, it's a little bit because of the realignment in 2020. It's actually, we have Boulder City, we have Inspirada, we have Seven Hills, Sun City, and then you go down all the way to the west in Lake Las Vegas. We got some part of Henderson. Then you
don't have
go.
all of Henderson?
No, just part of it, because what happened? There's a split with 3 back in realignment. We have all the way to the north Bonanza, okay, and then on the west Paradise.
So you have some Las Vegas in there.
Yeah, we got downtown, of course, and those are heavy Hispanic community, and I believe that in order for them to be represented properly, like you need to have someone that actually understand their concern, who actually live in the community and know what they're doing. The funny thing about it is, like, I'll tell you an example. My campaign manager and I, Susan Joseph, were at Memphis, Tennessee, and a Republican convention, and they were asking how the way we can improve the Hispanic and the Asian to vote for Republicans. And of course, they have some suggestion, but I made a suggestion that, we are not really doing anything. Let me tell you a perfect example. My mother-in-law, she became recently an American citizen, got sworn and all this stuff. Steve and I know that stuff. Went down, down the federal building. The moment that she get to the parking lot, there's actually someone from a Democratic Party registering people to vote. My mother-in-law, of course, said that, I believe in the Republican values, and, I'm a Republican. So the moment that, now I'm an American citizen, I'm going to register as a Republican. There's 300 people got sworn in that day. Guess what the Democratic Party got? 299. Why we don't have, as a party, as a Republican Party, going in there and registering these people? We have the values. We have the family values. We have the faith values. We have the freedom values. And I just don't understand, why are we letting these people think that they're Democrats, but they're actually Republicans? Why did they left Cuba? Why did they came here from the Philippines during Marcos era? Why they came here, Vietnam and all that stuff? Because they wanna live in a country that gives you value, pursue happiness. Doesn't mean it's guaranteed, but they give an ability to pursue it. Myself, for instance, nobody giving me everything. Everything that I have right now is because, I work hard. I believe in the American dream. I'm actually living an American dream. And I want people to understand the American dream still exists. Doesn't matter if you were born here. Doesn't matter if you're born from another country. But we all come here because we want to pursue that happiness. That, we give us an opportunity that someday, hey, maybe I can own my own business. Maybe, I can do these things because this is the one I love the most. It's like nobody hold us back. But for some reason, this administration right now and his cronies and his puppets they want the American people to live the way they want us to live, like a socialist country.
And if you get elected, you're going to help protect that.
Absolutely.
What because you call your the incumbent right now?
Dina Taxes? Because what the thing about Dina Tide has been elected for the last she's been Congress for 12 years, and
there's no term limits.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You want to do something about that?
Absolutely. I think you cannot. There's a lot of people. When I was watching Fox News one time, and there's actually a congressman that's been there for 40 years. What's that person that's been sitting there for 40 years know about the changes now? I bet you. I was talking to Congressman Kamek, and she told me that, there's no reason for you to stay in Washington, D.C. We only vote a certain time. You should be in your district talking to your constituents. But why is it that other congressmen or U.S. senator are actually living there in Washington, D.C.? Are they making deals? But why are we making deals? It's supposed to be for the people. We're supposed to be the voice of the people. One of the things that actually I spoke to them about is child trafficking. The kids that we have, first of all, they don't have any voice because they can't vote. So the politician always put that in the back end.
Did you see that movie Sound of Freedom?
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh my gosh, have you seen it, Steve? Oh man, you gotta see.
But what happened is like our politicians don't care about the children because you know what? They're not old enough to vote. You know, they're not old enough to pay taxes. They don't have any voice. You know, so now, you know, Dina Taxes will even not sign a letter to stop child trafficking. You know, she will raise taxes on your tips, the people that actually work in the casino, which is some of them work in a minimum wage and the tips is the only one they can have. You know, when I become a congressman, I would even change that Social Security shouldn't be taxed. Why are our seniors are paying taxes on their Social Security? They already paid it up front. Do you know the last time they actually stopped taxing Social Security was in 1984? Right now, and people might not understand, oh, like, Ron, you know what? I don't pay tax on my Social Security. Well, let me tell you something as a tax expert, and I do it all day long. Sure, if you're single and you're receiving Social Security and you have additional income less than $20,000, your Social Security is actually tax-free. If you're a couple, your Social Security is, tax-free if you make less than $40,000. But the moment that you make more than that, so let's say you're a single senior citizen, you have Social Security and you made $21,000. Guess what? Your Social Security is now taxed 80%. Wow. Why? So how the seniors that actually, the one that actually, I would probably say the backbone of our country that actually started all this for us to what we have right now is getting taxed when they shouldn't have to and penalizing them because you know what, they planned their retirement better.
And that's what our tax dollars go to is for Social Security, and then they're taxing upon taxes. That doesn't make sense.
So what happens, and a lot of people, like I've seen it all the time, especially during tax
military
season.
pay.
Yeah.
No, they don't tax military pay.
Oh, yeah,
No, I mean the retirement.
If it's
pay.
disabled.
Disabled, they don't.
No,
Okay,
but
yeah.
if, let's say, he retired, not disabled, and I've seen that, they tax you on that, it's included as your income.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you serve this country, why do you have to pay taxes on it? And the problem that we have in this country is like we're taxing the middle class. Mm-hmm. We're taxing them so much because you know what? At the end of the day, because you know what, these people are not going to ask. Try to tax a corporation. Guess what? They have CPAs, they have accountants, they have lawyers, actually graduated from Harvard. They have Ron Q. But what about the common folks that are actually just working every single day? They don't have that. So now that's why I'm running for Congress, because I want to be the person that actually represent the middle class, that they have a Ron Q to take care of them with their taxes.
Way too many taxes and too much government regulations that are going on. I mean, they try to make it so hard to even do business. Or
Absolutely.
to
You know what?
tax
Back in the days, Nevada is actually a friendly state for business.
Mm.
Now, I help people to start their business. I own a lot of business here in Nevada.
I used to work in business licensing. I couldn't believe all the complaints out here. You probably get it all the time too.
Back then, you know what? You can start a business and it's easy. Now, just to start a regular, like I would probably say, a startup business is going to cost you $2,000 plus an accountant and an attorney fees. Mm-hmm. Because they make it so complicated. So that's why Nevada is not a business-friendly state anymore, the way it used to be.
Yeah.
The problem is we don't have any income taxes here in Nevada, but we do have a lot of, I would probably say, the state of fees. Fees for this. Register your car. Fees for that. Fees for this. Oh, you want to breathe, Steve? We charge fees for that also. Oh, by the way, you know what? You actually took a bath 3 times this week or more. So we're gonna
Don't
tax
get
you
a
for
hotel
that.
room here.
Yeah, we're gonna fees you on
The
that.
fees are crazy.
So end of the day, it's like people are gonna say that oh yeah, you know what? Let's go to Las Vegas and you know what? There's no income tax, but you know what? We're a fee state. Mm-hmm. Anything that you do here costs us fees, and people might say, oh, you know what? It's not tax, but at the end of the day, fees are still taxed because I see a car registration.
I don't care what you call it, fees or tax. If it's coming out of my pocket, it's my money.
And all those fees are increasing too. They're going up.
Oh, remember the time that I would probably say a year ago when they said that if you have a property here, you have to claim that you actually live in that property, If you don't, instead of paying 3% of the fees, tax fees, you're gonna pay 8%. And a lot of people actually panic, trying to turn in the paperwork. What did Clark County did? Oh, we're gonna do it next year because you know what? We're just so bombarded with paperwork. You just can't do it.
Oh, look at the DMV. I don't know if you've been there lately. They increased the rates on it. But even like right after COVID, you couldn't even get in the DMV for 3 months. And all these people that couldn't get their cars registered, then they would go and find them or impound.
Oh, yeah, because of the late fees and all that stuff. Actually, right now, your DMV actually open Wednesday now. You actually can go and walk in.
On Wednesday, yeah. But you have to. I had to go a Saturday morning, and there was a line at 5 a.m. I'd go there. A line almost like a block or wrapped around the building just to go in the DMV to get in there to get business done. Otherwise, you'll get fined or get.
Well, yeah, and the thing is like we're our state of fees, so it's tax free, but the fees you have to pay.
So, Mr. Quince, so you were born in another country.
I was born in the Philippines. Yeah.
I was born in another country.
You were born in Jamaica. I know that.
Okay. How do you feel about the immigration policy?
Well, the problem, the immigration policy right now, because of the, it's a very sensitive matter because you know what, people that are actually hurting in a different country, of course, kind of like if your neighbor has nothing else to eat, you go to your next neighbor, ask for food. That's America. The problem that we have right now is the open border policy. Anybody just come in here. And when they come in here, as you and I, actually, we came in the front door, we did the process and things like that. It's not fair for those other people that are actually trying to get here because now they have to wait all these years. And these people, you know what? When you do the immigration process, they vetted you, make sure, bunch of interviews, and Steve knows that. They want to make sure, what are you going to contribute in this country? Why do you want to come to the United States?
Make sure you're not a felon.
Make sure you're not a felon. Make sure you have some kind of, like I would probably say, something to offer to make this country better.
Well, Ron, we're all immigrants from somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Like this. I mean, I have some Native American in me though too, but
big difference. You were born here.
But I was also born in Vegas, yes. But what I'm saying is my great grandparents came from Sicily or whatever. They came on the boat and they came over here, and some relatives from Ireland and Scotland seeking better opportunities. They were getting oppressed, and they came to this country to seek freedom. And that's one of the founding principles. We are all immigrants. And when they talk about the border, they said, "Oh, secure the border." And there was even one video online where they had a guy with a mariachi band and riding an elephant that crossed the Rio Grande, and they were coming across, and they're like, there is no protection. Now, those people, illegally, they get trafficked or they use coyotes to come across to this country, but that you never know. Terrorists could have walked through there. Some guys would dress up as a Salma and go across the border. Now we need to have those processes in place.
The process back in the days, and I wasn't born during that time, but the way it was presented in the history of the United States, when, of course, I would probably say great-grandparents came in the United States, there's actually a process. They were in line. They check on them. They make sure they're actually healthy. If they're not healthy, they actually quarantine them until they're good enough to come inside the United States. But right now, we don't have that. We don't have an immigration process. Right now, they just let them in. They give them a ticket. Actually, they want you to give them a ticket because you know what? Let's just certify them to stay here a little bit longer.
Well, her process needs to be reformed. So is the K-1 visa thing. I know a lot of friends that are seeking marriage in other countries, and it's such a convoluted process just to even marry the person that they love across the country to bring them over here. It's just...
and that's why a lot of my I would probably say my constituents were actually Filipino. They have family members actually been waiting in the Philippines for like 21 years. One of my employee, Nelson, what he said? It took him 21 years to come here in the United States because he did it the right way. But but other countries, they just come in here, cross the border and, right?
21 years.
21 years. Wow. And then when he came here, the interview process, the background check, they take your fingerprints, they make you, I would probably say, get a certificate on the, what do you call it? They call it PBI, Philippine Bureau of Investigation, kind of like an FBI, but it's like Philippines. So they want to make sure you didn't kill anybody, you didn't change your name and all that stuff. But right now, we have people that actually are coming in here. And we, with no records, we don't know where they came from. We don't know what's their background back then. I don't know, Venezuela, Guatemala, whatever it may be. This is a land of opportunity. And, as an immigrant, I get it. Everybody wants to come to America to pursue, the pursuit of happiness. But at least let's try to do it the right way. Because this country, I know this country is built with immigrants.
Would you help to reform that process then?
Well, yeah, absolutely. And the way I look at it, it's going to be before we do any reform or anything like that, we need to close the border. That's the first thing. Because you know what? Let's not get some problem in. Let's take care of the problem inside first. Let's get some. As a matter of fact, people like always say that Donald Trump, is anti-immigrants and all this stuff. Do you know that when he spoke, the first, I would probably say, time that he did his congressional speech, that he will actually willing to give out amnesty for those illegal immigrants that actually been here for the last 10 years with no problems, paying taxes, working and things like that.
So what would you do then? Instead of incarcerating them and charging them of federal charges for crossing the border?
I would do it the way Reagan did it.
How's that?
Close the border, vet all the immigrants that's here right now.
Would you deport the ones that come here illegally, or
Well,
would you help them get a process?
Well,
of
the thing is, like,
amnesty
everything has a process, but of course, the first thing that we need to do is we need to close the border, because the thing is, like, if the legal immigration process is taking forever now, how long do you think it's going to take us to do the illegal immigration process or illegal immigration reform? It's going to take longer than that.
And some of these guys were escaping the tyranny of, like, the Honduras, like there was a bunch of tyranny going on there and civil unrest, and they try to come to America and seek amnesty, and then instead they get charged with felony charges for trespassing.
Absolutely. And I've seen that. And you know what? I was watching the news this morning, and they said there's 150 Afghan who actually love America, thankful that United States went to Afghanistan and freed them from the Taliban. Right now, of course, they're in the United States, but they're in the United States limbo because they're actually just here and their papers are not processed yet. And this individuals or these people actually fought side by side with our U.S. military. That's why they got the asylum. That's why they're here. But right now, you know what Biden did? Didn't process their immigration documents. And right now, they said, if you give me papers right now, I would go join the military and fight with the United States to get Afghanistan back. And right now, they're in the immigration limbo. And that's 150,000 people.
They seek asylum or something like that, or they
No, what happened when the United States took over, because they're part of the United States, part of the changes, they're actually, they were given an opportunity to come to the United States or stay in Afghanistan and work for the United States. But what happened when, of course, the Taliban took over, when Biden gave it all up, to the Taliban. Of course, now they can't stay there because they're going to get killed. So now they came here in this country. They come to the United States. Biden and his cronies put them in an immigration limbo. So technically, right now, they can't even do anything. They're worse than they made them worse than the migrants are coming in this country. And these people actually came here and fought side by side with the United States to actually kick out the Taliban and, Obama used to call them the varsity, ISIS, the varsity of terrorists. So why is it that we're not helping these people? And we're in Afghanistan for so long, and I'm not a military guy, but of course, why we just give that so easily?
What platforms are you running on?
Well, right now I'm running on economy, immigration reform, and of course, education reform, parental rights. And I'm very strongly with that because if you want, let's say, and all of us run business and, we've been involved, we've been exposed to businesses. If we run our business the way this administration run this country, it'll be bankrupt. We'll be bankrupt. We don't have unlimited money to print. Yeah. We don't have that much credit.
There's no budgets, right? I mean, they have unlimited budgets. They don't count.
Kind of like this, like, Steve, we're gonna go out today. We're gonna spend $5,000. Oh, guess what? It's maxed out. But tomorrow, they're gonna give you a credit increase, and we can spend another $5,000.
That's not sustainable at all.
This country We're living, and people don't understand it. We're living in a credit every day. The United States have to borrow $281 million per day.
And we're the biggest debt we've ever been. What is it now? 28 trillion or something like that? Or 24
It's more
trillion?
It's like 38 trillion.
That's insane. Though. That's the highest it's ever been.
And let me give you a fact that actually this is the first time this country actually have over $1 trillion of credit card debt. We never had that before. Because back then, people like, I don't know if you guys heard that, living paycheck to paycheck. Now people actually live credit card to credit card with lower interest than paycheck. And that's what's happening now. And the problem is like this administration is actually, they think they're making us dumb, they don't make us think for ourselves of what's happening. Kind of like this. Oh, you know what? The gas is $5. Okay, you know what? The reason you're paying $5 a gallon because guess what? You don't have an electric car. Not many people can afford to drive a Tesla.
Would you, as a congressman, and I know you don't have all the facts in front of you, but as a congressman, would you continue to send money over to Ukraine?
You know what? A lot of people ask me that question. I believe that the war in Ukraine shouldn't happen if this administration nip it in the bud from the beginning. Mm-hmm. The problem is we keep sending money, right, when we're having problem in Maui. What? Biden's asking for $24 billion? Well, Maui needs $6 billion right now. And you know what Biden says yesterday? Asking us to donate money in Red Cross to help Maui.
I just saw a meme.
But, is asking Congress, give me $24 billion so we can, weaponize Ukraine.
I just saw a meme online about that. They just gave Maui it was 12 billion or 10 billion or something like that. And then they gave Ukraine 200 billion. 209 billion for Ukraine. And it shows a picture of Ukraine with like grass and the cars going, and then it shows like a blackened, burnt down wasteland in Maui. Like, how is that possible? Why, you're usually supposed to take care of your own house first, then you help out.
And that's why, I like, one of the things that Donald Trump have done in this country is make sure that, let's take care of our country first. And then, if we have extra, then we go to another country and help them out. United States is the world police in the world, like what they said, right? But in this situation, we need to take care of our country first, kind of like what you said, in our home. Kind of like this. I have $5, I got to feed my children. I don't know how much milk now, like
$5, Ron?
No, let's say, $5. $5 you feed your children. Okay, let's say the milk costs $4.50. Okay, I gave my daughter their milk, right? Mm-hmm. I have 50 cents left, then I can give you the 50 cents. Not like, okay, you know what, milk costs $4.50, I have $5, and I have to give you, I don't know, $3? So how am I going to feed my children? Your children's going to be good, right?
You can't get any milk.
You can't get any milk. So, the situation's changed now. United States became a power country in 1898 on the Spanish and American War. Maybe some of you guys don't know that. But this situation changed now. We have a lot of things to worry. We have to worry about the good old sleeping giant China, Russia, North Korea, Iran. Back then, I didn't hear any of them 3-4 years ago. I think they were hiding. And suddenly, this administration take over, Biden took over. And, our foreign policy is bad now. Our even representative, our congressmen and women that comes to Taiwan is actually scared to visit Taiwan because now they don't want to be in the Chinese airspace because they said they're gonna launch a missile if a United States airline even touched the airspace. And this is not the only one, China, I think China wants, it's a test, they use Russia to test the United States when conquering Ukraine. Right now, what are we doing? So technically, what we're trying to do is putting more money, kind of like this, we live in, Vegas. You're down millions of dollars, but you want to insert more money, so that's why, you can be afloat and get your money back. This is what's going on with the war in Russia and Ukraine. Okay, because if we lose this battle, guess what China's gonna do? They're gonna conquer Taiwan. They're gonna conquer Singapore. They're gonna conquer Philippines. They're already claiming it now. North Korea is gonna conquer South Korea, Japan. They already have them all planned out. And of course, Russia, they're testing us.
Well, Ron, don't you? I mean, you've seen the tactics over history. If you know history, they start wars when times are bad, when economy is bad. They start a war to spurn the economy. So at the cost of millions of lives, let's go drum up some business and go do the military-industrial complex. And Russia has done that, and then that we go and help defeat it. It's just another Cold War when we could be making allegiances. We should have solved that and got them out of there and made peace.
And that's what I was saying. You know what? If we have a different, we're still in Trump's administration, this war wouldn't even start.
I believe that too. Yeah.
So, Mr. Quince, you sound like the foreign policy candidate. So let me ask you some foreign policy questions.
Good.
What would you, if you were Congress, what would you do about that weather balloon from China that came all the way out here?
Well, first of all, Steve, I have to be in a foreign policy committee to actually beat that, right?
True.
But
as a conscientious objector, somebody that's looking from outside the window,
okay, yeah.
what would you do?
Hypothetical, if you were on the committee.
If I were in the committee, I would declare it as the war is actually in the tip of my mouth. Invasion of privacy. Because you know what? The moment that we do that, guess what they're gonna do? If we send a balloon in China, that thing is gone. Mm-hmm. And you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna attack one of our bases there, because they're gonna declare us war. Mm-hmm. Why is it, as a country, we didn't look at that as an act of war, right? And by the way, just FYI, they may not tell you in CNN or MSNBC or whatever, or I don't know, Newsweek, whatever it may be. But don't you know, there's actually 14,000 illegal Chinese army that actually crossed the border.
Into where?
During San Diego.
Really?
Because what they do is, of course, the moment that they transfer the fentanyl in the boat, right, in Mexico, and then they give to the cartel, there's just actually young soldiers that actually go in there. Remember that, I don't know if you guys know history, but, remember the Trojan, Trojan horse? Yeah. And why we're not doing anything about it. So that's why I always preach people, let's close the border. Mm-hmm. Because that's the only one for us to actually find out what's going on. We don't know who's coming in there. Mm-hmm. We don't know. And a lot of people are saying, there's actually 14,000 Chinese soldiers actually already inside the United States.
Oh, they have state departments that's only dedicated to doing cyber warfare. So they just try to break into financial firms and telecoms. And even like Huawei, you know about Huawei, right?
Yeah.
Where they were actually sending packets back to China. They would spy on, they had Huawei phones. And the DoD has even had to restrict all the routing and routers and switches and phones because they were sending those packets and spying on America. Same thing with TikTok too. I mean, when we sign the accept on the app, we give them permission to listen to us. And I don't know if you ever get target marketing, you talk about a boat or something, boom, a boat appears. Or so we're actually being spied upon, and China is one of the biggest.
What would you do about TikTok? Because there's some government.
The TikTok is the funny thing about TikTok is I didn't actually learn it as much because I don't think I can dance, because you're supposed to know how to dance, right, to be in TikTok. I don't know, because I've seen all the time, like when they show in the commercial, you have to be able to dance, and I don't know if you're willing to do a synchronized dancing with me, and then we can be in TikTok. But as far as that, at first when Trump administration actually wanna ban TikTok and actually have Microsoft to buy it, right? Things didn't happen. Right now, social media actually was controlled by the Democrats. Luckily, Musk actually owns Twitter now. So actually now they're actually Elon Musk actually.
Yeah, isn't it X? It's instead of Twitter.
Yeah, but now they're actually tracking all this, FBI emails and things like that they shut down all the conservative opinions and videos and things like that, and they also just market the Democrats and things like
Well, Ron, have you seen that? There's a new documentary. It's called The Social Experiment, and they actually did research on neurochemicals that we get addicted to our phones and TikTok and watching these videos, and they do target videos. And they'll actually do detrimental videos that do suggestions, like subliminal messaging that speaks to your subconscious. So it's like they do actually have a science behind TikTok and some of these other apps where they influence our children, they influence our, distract Americans or distract.
And I've seen that, especially having young children. Back then, if, when we were kids, right? Our parents actually just give us the toys or, I don't know, give us something to do, right? Because we didn't have, iPhone, iPad.
We used to go outside and go play. That's
Now, in this society, and I've seen it. A lot of my, I would probably say, you can't say peers, but other parents like myself, they would just give their daughters, here's your tablet. And of course, the kid's 2 years old, right? So now that's why we encourage our children that, hey, you can only be kind of like back in the days when they tell us, you can only be on television for 1 hour, 2 hours and things like that. Or if you watch too much TV, you're going to go blind or something like that, So now my wife and I are doing an experiment that, our children's only going to have 1 hour with the tablet. And after that, we take them out dancing, karate, whatever it may be.
1
right?
hour screen time, that's good.
And socialize, because I think it's different now. Even right now, like if you want to talk to someone, and imagine the pandemic back then, like you see people face to face, and then now they're actually doing Zoom now to see someone. It's different now. At the end of the day, I would do a lot of interviews, and some of them are on phone and telephone. But I do a lot better when I'm talking to the person interviewing me face to face. Because at least you guys can see my fashion that, I'm not BSing or anything like that. And that's a problem that I have, I'm going to tell you. It's so hard to me to be a politician right now because you know why? I don't lie. I'm not, a lot of this politician lies.
Well, most politicians are ex-lawyers, and lawyers are liars,
and,
right?
and you know what? And I asked my wife that. I said, what?
Storytellers.
It's so hard for me, am I doing the right thing, And you know what my wife told me? The reason that you suck at whatever you do right now, because you're starting, kind of like a data entry, when I'm starting my business 20 years ago, it's like you don't lie to people. You tell them the way it is. Kind of like, hey, guess what? You owe $50,000 to the IRS. But Ron, you do.
Do you give them that news lightly?
Yeah. But now, a lot of politicians goes like this. Instead of you saying you owe $50,000, you know what? Actually, you can make payments to the IRS $5,000 a year. You're going to be like, okay, well, how much do I owe? Just make $5,000 payment.
But then you got interest.
Yeah. But I'm not that kind of person. That's why it's so hard for me. It's very hard for me to do interviews, with other people because you know what? I cannot lie to you. I'll tell you the way it is. I'm telling you, hey, this is what I think and this is the way it is. And if it's different, and I'm not going to sugarcoat you, but the problem that we have right now is a lot of politicians, a lot of our constituents are actually blindsided now. Now they want to hear. Remember the last election, 2020? You're running for University Regent. He's gonna send you to jail for abortion. Those regions has nothing to do with abortion. But they didn't win because the Democrats bank on that. And that's the only card they have. And us Republicans didn't do anything about it.
But, they used the abortion in the last election and not realizing, because people are uneducated on the laws here in the state of Nevada, that abortion is in our Constitution. So there's no way one politician can be able to change abortion.
And of course, even Governor Lombardo said the same thing when he was running, when he was doing one of his speeches. He goes like, I cannot myself or Cicel, I cannot do anything against abortion, right? But the problem is the messaging is there. And now we have to tell, and I, we went to Republican National Convention and we talked about that. And the problem is, what we were talking then, they were just talking about it right now. So as a party or as, I would probably say as a country, we should be more like proactive rather than reactive.
True.
Right?
So you have Russia ships and Chinese ships in international waters off the coast of Alaska. What do you think that they're trying to do? Do you think they're trying to bait us? Do you think they're trying to test us? Because we have a weak president.
They send a balloon, right?
They send the
What
balloon.
do we do?
Now
What do we
they send
do?
the ships.
What do we do when we send the balloon? That's actually a test.
Yeah. So you think that's what they're
It's not
doing?
like a $2 million missile to destroy the. It's the testing, right?
It's testing. They test you. See how, kind of like, a bully trying
See how
to
you
test
react.
you. Yeah. Kind of like a bully, right? I don't know. I never been bullied, but kind of like a bully, like, testing someone. He goes like, hey, let me take your pencil. You didn't do anything. Let me take your pen. Let me take your bag. Let me take your lunch money. We're like that right now. We're getting bullied by these other countries. We shouldn't be.
Provocation, like you're provoking somebody
So-
or provoking a response.
So as a congressman, what do you think the best outlook should be for that? What do you think that we should do as a country with this testing and this bullying? What do you think we should
Well,
do?
at first, our voters need to realize that this country is not going the way it should be. Back then, America is the most powerful country in the world. That's why a lot of people moved here. That's why we came here as immigrants, right? First of all, we need to change the administration. We need to get someone that's capable to actually make the last minute decision that cannot be bullied, okay? I don't know what's gonna happen in the primary because, I'm in the primary. We cannot endorse anybody in the primary until the primary is over. But we need to have someone that actually, with a good policy, strong enough to actually not to be bullied. Second, we need to get the U.S. Senate back. Make sure we have the majority, and we have some people that they're actually making decisions, not puppets, but actually someone that actually present bills and think for the better of the American people. Last but not the least, we have to control the House. We need to have the majority. And when we have all those three, I think we should be back on track again. But it's not going to happen overnight. We need a lot of help from every individual that actually get elected in 2024 to make that changes. Not the one that actually goes like, oh, you know what, everything sounds good, let me just sign on it. Someone that actually read the bill.
Ron, if you were in there, what would you do specifically? Would you help encourage your colleagues to for peace, or would you go and tell them, go send delegates to those countries? What would you do to?
Well, the thing is, like, peace is always good because we don't want. I would probably say when Trump administration was in the office, actually, that's the last 4 peaceful years that we have besides COVID, right? We're not just going to go to war back in the days because this country had made so much mistakes in going to war.
Because the U.S. response usually sanctions, and I actually invested in some Russian companies, and then all my stocks got wiped out because of investing. And now, the American
Sanction.
I wanna hear him finish that.
Sanction doesn't work. Sanction doesn't work. Kind of like sanction like go like this. It's like you're having like 2 kids, and the 2 kids are arguing, and you're gonna tell me, I'll buy you another iPhone next time. Or, let me put them in timeout, but, let me take let me cut their allowance. That's what it means, sanction. You got to make some action right away. Send a delegate there, make a decision. Okay, this is what the United States need. Because if we don't do that, then these people are just going to bully us around. Why do we have to pay Iran so much money for them to finish their weapon of mass destruction? Why? Oh, because we're sanctioning them, the president of North Korea. Oh, we got to sanction him. He's not going to get his new Ferrari this year.
Do you think the Second Amendment makes us the most powerful country in the world?
Well, there's a lot of countries that actually have Second Amendment. They just call it a little bit different, right? And a lot of people are actually want to take our guns. You know that. Every time there's a massive shooting, they blame. We're going to take the guns. We're going to take the guns. Guns doesn't kill people. People kill people.
I tell people that ain't gonna kill a damn person sitting there,
Yeah.
right?
The thing
And
is, like,
and why is it that every time that we have these mass shootings, people always try to take this away from us?
well, because you know what?
I've been carrying this in my pocket since 2003. That's when I had my CCW, and I never once pointed it at anyone.
I have a CCW myself. I've been carrying since 2008, and I never shot a single fire. The problem is, this country, if something happened, of course, we cannot. I believe that it started with the parents that make sure that I'm pretty sure you taught your children how the way to handle guns. When I was a kid, my father owns a gun. I was like 7 years old, and he took me target shooting. And as a child, it took the curiosity out of the gun, right? Because then you're kind of like, and that's what happened. Everything started at home, kind of like this. Oh, what? Look at my dad's or my mom's gun. They wave it around, and But if you teach your child how the way to handle the gun properly, that's not a toy. It's actually a self-defense. Then they think of it differently.
It's a tool.
Yeah.
What was the gun laws in the Philippines? They have
No, you gotta have like a
special permit or something.
Intensive background and stuff like. But I didn't have that.
Only certain people can have guns in the Philippines or something? Okay.
When my father came back and my parents came back when I was sick, because they kept going back and forth. My father, of course, he's an American citizen here. They own guns and stuff like that. And what we did is, like, as a family, believe it or not, my cousins, my uncles, and stuff like that, we go target shooting. You're 7 years old, you learn how the way the gun works. Kind of like, that's someone that you don't want to mess around. The problem is, you take out the curiosity. Kind of like, owning a swimming pool in your backyard.
Do they have those laws that protect those rights in the Philippines or no?
I don't know. But the thing is, like, I don't know. But, and the way...
Australia, you can't own a gun. Like,
the way they brought us up, it's like practically like, hey, you know what? Yeah, they need to teach you, like, hey, this is the gun. Kind of like, having a swimming pool outside your, in your yard, right? Kind of like, if you don't know how, if you didn't teach your kids how to swim, they're going to drown, right? But if you teach them how to swim, my daughters actually learned how to swim like 6 months old because, we taught them. So technically, like, they see the pool, doesn't matter if the door is open, they'll be like, we've done that already. Same thing with guns. Everything starts with the parents at home. If you teach your children, like, hey, this is the importance of gun, it's a tool, like what you said. Second Amendment rights that we have as an Americans, which is like, our forefather actually protected that because they've seen it. I don't know if they have a crystal ball back in the days, but they actually saw that. And I don't know if they, they're like George Lucas actually went to the future and come back, and did Star Wars.
So the Constitution is a very, very good piece of document.
It's like they predicted the future.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we're not Venezuela right now because of the Second Amendment.
Yeah, it's to protect against tyrannical government. Like, that's the whole
Nobody
purpose
can just, and the problem about it is, like, the Democrats, they always blame the Second Amendment for everything. Mm-hmm. It's like they're going to take it away. Yeah. I don't see it in the future that will take it away. I think this country will go to civil war first before they take your guns away.
But those same people that go after the Second Amendment have security guards.
Mm-hmm.
Armed.
So you're trying to say, tell Biden take out, the guns from the Secret Service?
Yeah.
Hypocrites, right?
It's like, and that's a problem that, the way I look at it, running for office, Steve, you've known me for a while. I'm a successful businessman, I'm happy, popular, good looking. No, just kidding. When my wife asked me one time, why are you running, right? Like, as a matter of fact, my wife goes like, semi-retire, we can go on vacation, 3 months here, 3 months there. Mm-hmm. But I told her that, I want to get into politics because if I don't do anything and let this cronies running around and control this country, 20 years from now, there's not going to be America.
True.
And if I don't make a changes now, come on, I grew up here. My family brought me here to have a better future.
What kind of world is our kids going to live in if we don't
Exactly.
take a stand?
Are they gonna salute on I don't know, like what, a USSR flag, or are they gonna tell them that oh, by the way, we're gonna give you coupons. You can only eat today. Tomorrow you don't because you didn't have a coupon, but we'll give you a holiday coupon. And if you use that up, then you don't eat for the whole year.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't do anything now, then what's gonna happen? And I will tell you now, if I don't do anything and I just stay the way I am, 20 years from now, America's like, what? Bad. Then now I have to blame myself because I didn't do anything. I had the opportunity to do it 20 years ago. Right. That I could run for office, make changes, Even though I cannot change the world, but I can put a dent to change it a little bit.
Sure. For the future of our kids.
Yeah. One congressman cannot change the whole country. Mm-hmm. But I can put a dent and convince other congressmen, other young congressmen, new blood, that this country is not going the way we want it to go.
It was like when you have a drip of water and it goes into a big pond or something, and that little ripple can become a big wave.
Absolutely.
And you make a wave of change.
And that's the way we do it. And I told my family that I'm gonna do this. It's very hard. Like what I said, it's very hard running for office. And you've run for office before. It's very hard, especially when you're an honest person like I am.
You live in District 1.
I live in District 1, yes.
Now, how do you feel about those candidates that don't live in your district, but decided to run in your district, and those same candidates can't even vote for themselves because they're not going to be on their ballot because they don't live in the district, but yet they want you to vote for them? How do you feel about those?
Well, let me tell you something. Like, the Constitution of the United States, if you're running for congressman, then you can run any district you want as long as you live in the state, right? Mm-hmm. The only thing I don't like is like those people, they don't know what's going on in the district. Like what you said, they can't vote for themselves. I don't like to call people names or anything like that, But one of the things I will tell you, I'm no carpetbagger. I live in that district. I've been part of
that community.
Yeah, my kids go to those school in that district. Okay, I own a business in that district. I've been in Vegas for 20 years. I didn't just kind of retire here from California and decided to run for office, or came from Utah and retired. And guess what? I'm going to be a congressman now, right?
Right.
So I've been here. I started here. I started here when I started my business, putting business cards in people's cars. Now, you want to get into me as my client? You got to be on a waiting list. Okay? So I'm here. I've been here since back in the days that, when Nevada was like fun. You can walk around the mall with your beer. Remember that days? You can't do that anymore, right?
They'll throw you in jail.
Yeah, they throw you in jail. Yeah. But I've been here. I made my fortune here. I have I created my family here. I met my wife here. My kids were born in the same district that I'm running at, okay? And my job now is to protect my family, protect the new generation, protect the American dream that people actually thought that's dead. A lot of people say, the American dream that you guys grew up with back in the days, that's dead. No, it's not dead. Just nobody's talking about it.
You're a living example of the American dream.
I am living the American dream.
Yeah.
Mr. Quince, did we cover everything?
No, not yet. But I want to invite everybody for my formal announcement on August 24. It's going to be at Ahern, and the event starts at 10 a.m. So I'm hoping that you guys can join us. And if you have any questions regarding my background, you want to volunteer, you want to donate, unfortunately, I hate asking people for donation because I'm the one that usually give people donations. But in this situation, the way I look at it, in order for me to change America, I have to ask donation to change America. You can visit my website, www.ronq4u.com. And my cell phone is 702-592-7484. You're more than welcome to call me, and I will call you back. Or when you get, you can ask me some questions, if any concerns, to make America better.
So, Mr. Quince, I was going to let you do all that. I was going to have Mark zoom in on you and have you do that, but we're still going to do that. But you also have another fundraiser coming up on September 15th.
Absolutely.
Hispanic Heritage Day.
Yes.
on
Yes.
September
Actually, it's
15th in
actually
Henderson.
what do you call it? More like the funny thing about my anniversary is actually the 6th. My wedding anniversary is September 16th, so it's going to be a good,
Oh, the next day.
the next day. Absolutely.
Well, we appreciate you coming on the show. Mark is going to zoom in on you. And,
So one more time.
and you could probably get even more in detail. And why are you the better candidate?
Well, I'm a better candidate because you know what? I'm more qualified than other of my competitors. The people that are running for the primary are more qualified than any of them. Second of all, once I win the primary, I am more qualified to fire Dina Taxes out of the office because she's been in the office for so long, she hasn't done anything yet. She's the most unpopular congresswoman in the country. So I want to invite all of you to see me in my formal announcement on August 24 at Ahern Hotel. The event starts at 10 a.m. If you have any questions, any concern, you want to volunteer, you want to donate, you can visit my website at ronqforyou.com, that's RONQFORYOU.com. And you can call me on my cell phone, which is 702-592-7484. And thanks for having me. And let's change America for the best. Let's rebuild the American dream the way it should be.
Well, we want to thank you for coming out and sharing your platform for Congress with us. And I'm going to start calling you the foreign policy candidate.
Well, I should be. They should put me in the committee.
Mike, you have anything else from Mr.
Yeah,
Quince?
no, thank you, Ron. It's yeah.
And it's so nice being here. And and thank you, Steve. For inviting me to your show. It's always a good time here.
Absolutely. We have an open door policy for you, Mr. Quince.
Absolutely. Support the troops. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Quince, for coming on. Thank you, Mike. Folks, that's Ron Quince. He's the congressional candidate for District Number 1. And we want to make sure that you go to his announcement party, but especially the September 15th at Chinitas. It's tapas and sushi restaurant on Hispanic Heritage Day on Friday, September 15th from 6 to 8 p.m. And myself and Andre Haynes is putting that one on, and we want to make sure that everybody comes and meet and greet Mr. Quince and fundraise, because it is a fundraiser. This is Steve Sanson, Michael McDonald, Veterans in Politics. Until next time.